Rain hammered the crooked rooftops of the small seaside town as Elena stepped off the ferry, her boots splashing in puddles that glided under the orange street lamps. As each carried an old leather satchel, the strap familiar and worn, but inside it was anything but ordinary. The satchel held a brittle piece of parchment, its edges fried, ink smudged from decades of secret handling. Elena's grandmother had handed it to her with trembling fingers just her saga. "This will change everything," she whispered. Now, standing on the mist-shrouded quay, Elena could feel a humming energy in the air, summiting alive. A distant bell tolled. As she glanced up to see the lighthouse's beam rotating through the fog, slicing the darknesses like an omen. Her path was set. A narrow alley led away from the harbor into the heart of the town, the sign above a shattered shop flickering, antiquities and curios. As she tucked the parchment closer, heart pounding, aware that unseen eyes might already watch her. Inside the antiquities shop the door creaked open, though no one had entered behind her. Rows of relics and additions occupied the dim light, rusted compass, a cracked hourglass, a carved wooden chest with strained runners. Elena's satchel seemed to vibrate. As she approached the chest, placed the parchment on its lid. The runners glided faintly and the lid lifted on its own. A cold wind rushed out, extinguishing candles, rattling glass. From within emerged a pale figure, translucent but real, with hollow eyes and a voice like distant thunder. "You have awakened what sleep should have kept." Elena froze, satchel dropped. The parchment fell open and its characters shifted, forming words in a language as rich and cold and recall learning. The figure fluttered closer. "To undo what is done, you must face what you fear." Elena swallowed hard. The fog outside pressed on the windows, as to the sea each south entry. As she picked up the satchel, heart stilled, and stepped forward into the unknown. The shop door slammed shut behind her. The journey had begun, the world beyond the shop dissolved into shadow and sea mist. Elena blinked, and found herself standing on the cliffs above the town. The lighthouse beam circled slowly, but its light no longer reached the water. Below, the waves churned black as ink. In her hand, the parchment pulsed with warmth, the glowing word shifting again until it formed a symbol, two interlocking spirals. Suddenly, the air split with a scream, not human, but ancient and hollow. Out of the storm rose the semi-translucent figure, now towering, its face cracked like glass. "You carry the key," it thundered. But every key turned both ways. The ground trembled, rocks shattered, the sea reached for her boots. Elena took a step forward, clutching the parchment. "Then show them the door." The figure's hollow eyes softened. For a heartbeat, the storm froze, raindrops suspended midair. The spirals on the parchment spun fast until a blinding light erupted, swallowing both of them. When the light faded, Elena stood alone on calm sand, dawn breaking. The satchel was gone. In its place, a compass gleamed in her palm, the needle spinning wildly before settling, not north, but toward the horizon, where something vast waited just beyond sight. And the sea was quiet. It whispered her name. Days passed, to Elena could no longer tell how many. The compass never stopped pointing toward the horizon, and each time as she followed it, the shoreline seemed to stretch further, the sea darker, the air thicker with whispers. As she had begun to understand, those voices were not wind, but echoes of those who had held the parchment before her. Each had sought the same thing, the origin light, the source of all the strained energy her grandmother had spoken of. One evening, as crimson clouds sank into the sea, the compass needle quivered, then stilled. Before her stood a lone archway of stone rising from the sand, no door, just the frame. Etched into it were the same spirals from the parchment, faintly glowing. Elena stepped closer, the air buzzed, her skin tingling. Every key turned both ways, as she murmured, remembering the spirit's warning. So what happens when it unlocks them? The moment as she crossed the threshold, the world inverted. Sky became ocean, and the sea became stars. A thousand memories, her grandmother's, the spirits, even the towns, rushed through her. SH is as the first keeper of the parchment carving it is runs into stone, sealing submitting away, submitting vast and luminous. When Elena opened her eyes again, SH stood within a chamber of light, a reflection of herself waiting her, smiling faintly. Welcome, keeper, it said. You found the origin, now you must dig it, guard it, or set it free. And as the light rose around her, the compass in her hand began to melt into pure gold, its needle turning slowly toward her own heart. Elena felt the golden light sink into her chest, it is warmed both comforting and terrifying. The reflection, her other self, watched silently as the chamber trembled, it is always rippling like water. Every heartbeat pulsed with new strength, new clarity. SH could feel the origin light within her now, alive and aware. Outside the glowing walls, voices whispered once more, pleading, warning, remembering. They weren't just echoes of the past, they were guardians, fragments of all who had borne the burden before her. And they were afraid. If I free it, Elena said softly, the world changes. Her reflection nodded. If you don't, you become its prison. The spirals above her began to spin faster, driving the chamber toward collapse. Elena closed her eyes, memories flashing, the lighthouse beam, her grandmother's trembling hands, the spirit's sorrowful gas. The threat was simple now, the origin light was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to return. SH spread her arms wide, releasing her grip on her. The golden radiance burst from her chest, streaking upward like dawn breaking through storm clouds. The chamber shattered, and the sea roared to life outside. When the light faded, the town awoke to calm waters and a brilliant sky. The lighthouse glowed again, ton of flame burned within. And on the quiet shore stood Elena, chunked, luminous, human and something more. SH looked toward the horizon, where the compass was pointed, and smiled. The journey never ends, SH whispered, stepping forward as the waves parted before her feet. The tide shimmered gold beneath Elena's feet as SH walked across the open sea. Each descent ripples of light spreading outward, illuminating faces in the waves, echoes of those who had guided her journey. They watched silently, neither sorrowful nor joyful, only waiting. Ahead, on the horizon, a massive structure emerged from the mist, a tower of crystal and storm, rising straight from the ocean's heart. The compass's voice, no longer a needle but a whisper within her, urged her onward. This is where it began. Inside the tower, the air vibrated like a heartbeat. At its center floated a spur of pure radiance, pulsing gently, alive. Elena approached, her reflection appearing beside her once again, no longer separate, but equal. This is the source, the reflection said. The light that made worlds, the song that shaped memory. Elena reached out, fingertips brushing its surface. A flood of visions rushed through her, stars being born, civilizations rising and falling, her grandmother's ladder, the first keeper's vow. And then, silence. SH understood, the origin light was not meant to be kept or freed. It was meant to be shared. With a steady breath, Elena placed her palm fully on the spur. The tower trembled, beams of gold piercing the clouds and reaching every corner of the world. The sea glowed, forests shimmered, forgotten places stirred awake. When the light faded, Elena stood on the shore once more, no longer the seeker, but the source itself. The world was reborn in quiet brilliance. Far away, in a dusty attic, a young child discovered an old parchment glowing faintly with spirals of gold. And so, the story began again. The parchment flickered in the child's trembling hands, symbols dancing across its surface like living fireflies. He was no older than 10, with curious eyes and a heart too bold for silence. The attic creaked as rain tapped against the windows, just as it had on the night Elena first arrived in the seaside town generations ago. As the boy traced the glowing spirals, the air thickened. Dust rose and shimmered, forming the faint outline of a woman made of light, Elena. SH no longer looked human, yet her eyes held the same gentle fire. "Hello," the boy whispered. "Are you an angel?" Elena smiled. "No, I'm a memory, and maybe a beginning." SH knelt, light cascading around them. This parchment chose you, as it honest chose em. It carries the memory of the world, and the promise that someone will always guard its balance. The boy looked down, frightened yet fascinated. But I'm just so was I, he said softly. Until I wasn't. Lightning flashed outside, illuminating the spirals as they etched themselves into his palm, warm, pulsing, alive. The attic dissolved, replaced by the open sea beneath a sky of stars. The boy gasped as golden paths stretched across the waves, leading toward a faint glow on the horizon. Follow the light, Elena's voice echoed. But remember, the key turns both ways. The boy took a breath, clutched the parchment to his chest, and stepped forward. The ocean parted before his feet, and the legend of the keepers began anew. The ocean glimmered beneath the boy's bare feet, each ripple whispering names, Elena's among them. The stars above seemed closer than ever, forming constellations that shifted and spiraled like the runners on the parchment. He walked until dawn painted the sky with molten gold, and before him rose the semi-crystal tower Elena had always entered. But now it was fractured, its light dimmed, flickering like a dying flame. He hesitated. The parchment pushed in his hand, the spirals spinning faster. From the cracks of the tower, shadows leaked like smoke, curling across the water. A voice echoed from within, keeper or breaker. The boy's heart pounded. He remembered Elena's words, the key turns both ways. Taking a step forward, he raised the parchment. Its glow fought against the dark, but the shadows surged stronger, forming a towering figure with hollow eyes and a voice that shook the sea. You would awaken the Regina again. It thundered. The light consumes as much as it creates. I don't want to awaken it, the boy shouted, his voice trembling but firm. I want to understand it. The tower stilled. The darkness paused, as if listening. Slowly, the boy pressed the parchment against the fractured crystal. The runners bailed into the cracks, sealing them with light. The tower began to heal, not with blinding radiance, but with calm, steady warmth. From within, Elena's voice whispered faintly, proud and distant, balance, not brilliance. You've learned what we never called. The boy smiled through tears as the tower's light enveloped him. When it faded, the sea was still, the parchment blank once more. But above, the stars re-ranked themselves into a new constellation, two spirals joined by a single shining line. The world had not been remade. It had been restored. And for the first time in centuries, the light and shadow existed side by side, at peace. Years drifted by like gentle tides, and the boy, no longer a child, became a quiet wanderer known only as the keeper of a cause. Wherever he went, the air shimmered faintly, as if remembering him. The parchment, though blank, never left his side. Sometimes, under moonlight, faint spirals appeared, whispering secrets only he could hear. One night, while resting beside a river that flowed backward under a silver sky, the whispers grew louder. The water stilled, reflecting a familiar face, Elena's. Her image rippled softly. You've done what none before called, he said. You balanced the light and shadow. But the world changes still, and the Regina stares again. The keeper's eyes darkened. Then my work isn't done. Elena smiled sadly. No keepers were truly done. The Regina isn't a force, it is a question. One that every generation must answer anew. Suddenly, the river burst into golden flame, forming a pathway of symbols, different this time. Not spirals, but intertwined circles. The boy, now a man, understood. The Regina wasn't testing him. It was inviting him. He stepped onto the glowing path, feeling it lift him above the current. All around, the world folded inward, past, present, and future colliding in threads of light. He saw glimpses, children holding fragments of the parchment, cities built around the tower, the sea shimmering with memory. As the vision faded, Elena's voice lingered like wind through glass. Every keeper adds to the song. Yours begins now. The man nodded, raised the parchment to the stars, and it flared alive once more, ink spreading like dawn across its surface. The Regina had not ended. It had evolved, and as he vanished into the starlit current, the world exhaled, Ready to begin another story.